I'm Laura and I'm an alcoholic. Step 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 12 and 12, page 77. Steps 8 and 9 are concerned with personal relations. First, we take a long backward and try to discover where we have been at fault. Next, we make a vigorous attempt to repair the damage we have done. And third, having thus cleaned away the debris of the past, we consider how, with our newfound knowledge of ourselves, we may develop the best possible relations with every human being we know. Big Book, page 76. Now we need more action, without which we find faith without work is dead. Let's look at step 8. We have a list of all persons we have harmed and to whom we are willing to make amends. We made it when we took inventory. We subjected ourselves to a drastic self-appraisal. Now we go out to our fellows and repair the damage done in the past. We attempt to sweep away the debris which has accumulated out of our effort to live on self-will and run the show ourselves. If we haven't the will to do this, we ask until it comes. In the 80s, they used to tell us to burn our 4th step once we did the 5th step. I will suggest that to people nowadays because you don't want that 4th step laying around for others to see. I also don't think the 4th step inventory has much to do with the 8th step list because you don't owe someone an amends just because you had a resentment against them, unless you took action and did something or said something to them. Sometimes we have a resentment and the other person doesn't even know it. The 8th step starts the process of forgiving others and perhaps being forgiven by them. By forgiving others, we start forgiving ourselves and start learning how to live at peace and harmony in the world. By the time we reach this step, we have become ready to understand rather than to be understood. We can live and let live easier when we know the areas in which we owe amends. Okay, how should you make this amends list? I recommend that you get a blank sheet of paper and make 3 columns. First column, names of those people you're willing to make amends to right away. Second column, names of those people you're willing to make amends to in the future. Third column, names of people you'll never, ever, never, never make amends to. It is best to have tunnel vision when doing this step. Only focus on step 8 and making that list. Do not worry about step 9, just make the list. You don't have to go back to kindergarten when you're making out your list. Put down the names of those people that come to mind without any real thought being put into it. In your heart, you know who you've done wrong and need to make amends to. You don't have to worry about making your amends list 100% accurate. Don't worry about making this list deep and searching, just do the list. You have the 10th step to add any names that you may have initially forgotten. You can add names to your list until you die, because there may be something or someone not on your list today that you generally don't think you owe an amends to, but 20 years from now it may dawn on you that you owe them an amends. Should you add your own name to your amends list? Should it be the first name on the list or last? First, don't waste time on whether you should put your name on there or not. Then waste more precious time thinking about where to place your name. I think it's irrelevant whether you're on the list or not. Second, don't prioritize the names on your amends list, just make the list. The concept of harm, as it relates to the 8th step, is one that has various meanings. 12 and 12, page 80. We might next ask ourselves what we mean when we say that we have harmed other people. What kinds of harm do people do one another anyway? To define the word harm in a practical way, we might call it the result of instincts in collision, which cause physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual damage to people. If our tempers are consistently bad, we arouse anger in others. If we lie or cheat, we deprive others not only of their worldly goods, but of their emotional security and peace of mind. We really issue them an invitation to become contemptuous and vengeful. You may not have stolen a single thing from your parents, relatives, or friends. You may have gotten along very well with them and repaid them for every single cent they spent on you for one reason or another. So how could you have possibly harmed them? Why should they be on your amends list? Well, think about the peace of mind that you stole from them. We have done harm that we cannot even imagine. I remember hearing one person talk about his mother thanking him after he quit drinking because she could now go down to the corner store and buy a gallon of milk. Did he kidnap her and lock her up to prevent her from going down to the corner store? Turns out that his mother's friends would often be at the corner talking about the kids and how well their kids are doing. She, on the other hand, had nothing good to say about her son, so she avoided her friends as much as possible. But after he quit drinking and turned his life around, she could then visit with her friends and have good things to say about her son also. After making the list, let's evaluate your willingness to make these amends, especially the names in the third column. You know, the ones that you'll never make amends to. The ones that hell will have to freeze over before you even think about making amends to them. Well, your task now is to pray for the willingness to make those amends sometime in the future. Now we proceed to step 9. I'm not sure who's doing that.
Okay, I was looking for Rick, but I don't see Rick here.
It's me.
Who's Rick?
It's Adam. Can you hear me?
Yeah, why are you under the name of Rick?
No, I'm not. I'm supposed to do step 9.
Oh, it has Rick listed under it. Okay, let's go ahead.
I don't know why. And I'm not looking at that. Okay, good morning, everyone. Hello, family. Step 9. My name is Adam. Step 9, made a direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. The best amends is changed behavior. That's a quote by somebody we don't know. Big Book, page 76. Now we go out to our fellows and repair the damage done in the past. We attempt to sweep away the debris which has accumulated out of our effort to live on self-will and run the show ourselves. If we haven't the will to do this, we ask until it comes. Remember, it was agreed that at the beginning we would go to any lengths for victory over alcohol. 12 and 12, page 83. After we have made a list of people we have harmed, we have reflected carefully upon each instance and have tried to possess ourselves of the right attitude in which to proceed. We will see that the making of direct amends divides those we should approach into several classes. There will be those who ought to be dealt with just as soon as we become reasonably confident that we can maintain our sobriety. There will be those to whom we can make only partial restitution, lest complete disclosures do them, or others more harm than good. There will be other cases where action ought to be deferred, and still others in which, by the very nature of the situation, we shall never be able to make direct personal contact at all. What's the difference between an amends and an apology? What does AA mean when they refer to amends? I'd like to expand on the definition of amends a bit by saying that making an amends means making things right between us, making a person whole. I think it's also based on severity of the wrong and the passage of time that differentiates an amends from an apology. If you step on someone's toes, you don't owe them an amends. An apology or a simple "I'm sorry" is fine. If you break a date at the last minute, an apology is fine, unless that date was to meet at the altar. Some people act as though those words are interchangeable. I think an amends is recommended when the damage or injury was egregious and with some time lapse. For example, if a wooden fence has a loose board, then all you need to do is hammer that board in. If you let a few months or a few years go by, then you really need to mend that fence. Please try your best not to use the word sorry in your amends. A word apology is totally acceptable during the amends process. It is a good idea to go over your list with someone to ensure that you really need to make amends to that person, as well as planning the best course of action for making the amends. Bill Wilson didn't just arbitrarily choose the word wherever instead of whenever when writing this step. The words are not interchangeable. 12 and 12, page 83. Good judgment, a careful sense of timing, courage, and prudence. These are the qualities we shall need when we take step 9. Big Book, page 79. Although these reparations take innumerable forms, there are some general principles which we find guiding. Remember, reminding ourselves that we have decided to go to any lengths to find a spiritual experience. We ask that we be given strength and direction to do the right thing, no matter what the personal consequences may be. We may lose our position or reputation or face jail, but we are willing. We have to be. We must not shrink at anything. Okay, now to the heart of the situation. How do we go about making the amends? It's best to make the amends directly, as it says in the 9th step. I interpret direct as meaning in person, face to face. Second option for making direct amends is via the phone, but not in a text message. The third option is by postal mail. If making the amends will cause more harm than good to that person, then it's best not to make the amends. How about if you cannot make the amends, but the person is dead or the company is no longer in business? You can make indirect amends. How about if your parents only want you to stay sober and don't need you to pay back money you may owe them? Well, you owe a lot more than money. You owe peace of mind to your loved ones and friends. What should you do besides making a living amends? Is an amends without follow-up action enough? Big Book, page 82. The alcoholic is like a tornado roaring his way through the lives of others. Hearts are broken. Sweet relationships are dead. Affections have been uprooted. Selfish and inconsiderate habits have kept the home in turmoil. We feel a man is unthinking when he says that sobriety is enough. He is like the farmer who came up out of his cyclone cellar to find his home ruined. To his wife, he remarked, "Don't see anything the matter here, Ma. Ain't it grand the wind stopped blowing?" What is follow-up action? It's simple words. It's simple. Words mean very little. It's your actions that count the most. If you owe money to the IRS or any other debtor, call them and make payment plans, but be prepared to send them some amount of money. You owe back child support or alimony, call them and make arrangements to start sending money right away. Enclose a check. Once you've started on this 9-step journey, you'll be shocked at how your higher power will help you out in getting it done. Step 9 is all about you. It's about cleaning up your side of the street. The person you're making amends to may have done you considerably more harm than you did to them, but this is about you accepting responsibility for your own actions, admitting your own faults. Big Book, pages 77 to 78.
Yeah, I
The
can talk about
question,
my work, so.
the questions of how to approach the man we hated will arise. It may be he has done us more harm than we have done him. Though we may have acquired a better attitude toward him, we are still not too keen about admitting our faults. Nevertheless, with a person we dislike, we will take the bit in our teeth. It is harder to go to an enemy than to a friend, but we find it much more beneficial to us. We go to him in a helpful and forgiving spirit, confessing our former ill feeling and expressing our regret. Under no condition do we criticize such a person or argue. Simply, we tell him that we will never get over drinking until we have done our utmost to straighten out the past. We are there to sweep off our side of the street, realizing that nothing worthwhile can be accomplished until we do so, never trying to tell him what he should do. His faults are not discussed. We stick to our own. If our manner is calm, frank, and open, we will be gratified with the result.
I agree.
Step 9 is a very tall order, but one that will help you in many ways.
Yeah. 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 Go, go, go. Go, 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 go.
Right, Adam, unmute yourself, Adam. Just mute all everybody if that happens again. Unmute yourself.
Thank you. Step 9 is a very tall order, but one that will help you in many ways. This is another one of those freeing steps. You'll be able to look at yourself and others in the eyes. Self-esteem is built up by doing esteemable acts, and making the amends will build up your self-esteem. You'll be able to go anywhere without feeling that you must watch your back. You'll be able to answer the door again. You'll be able to let go of the past. You'll be able to answer the phone again. You'll put on a new pair of glasses. The best amends is changed behavior. Don't mess up your amends with an excuse. Sometimes we hear an alcoholic say the only thing he needs to do is to keep sober. Certainly he must keep sober, for there will be no home if he doesn't. But he is yet a long way from making good to the wife or parents whom for years he has so shockingly treated. That's from the Big Book, page 82. The Big Book sums up the sum of the benefits of step 9, much better than I can. Big Book, pages 83 to 84. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Those were the 9-step promises. Dr. Bob relapsed because he didn't want to make amends. He started making amends the same day he stopped drinking again. If you relapse on any step, you should just continue from where you relapsed. There is no need to go back to step 1 unless you had reservations about being an alcoholic. Get a sponsor to go over the list with you and devise a course of action for each person on your list. There will be people that you have on your 8th step that your sponsor will cross off. You don't make amends to your drug dealer. You don't make amends to your ex-girlfriend or boyfriend, your ex-spouse, if you don't have children with them. All right, you guys, let's continue to step 10.
Yep. Hi, everyone. My name is Angela. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic. Step 10. Continue to take personal inventory in a minute and promptly, when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 10 is very simple and pretty much self-explanatory. Steps 10, 11, and 12 are what many members of AA refer to as the maintenance steps. These maintenance steps can be started on your very first day in the AA program. You can start doing steps 10, 11, and 12 very early in AA. Big Book, page 84. This thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right away any new mistakes as we go along. We vigorously commenced this way of living as we cleaned up the past. We have entered the world of the spirit. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, we ask God to at once to remove them. We discuss them with someone immediately and make amends quickly if we have harmed anyone. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. Love and tolerance of others is our code. You can start doing steps 10, 11, and 12 your first day in AA. Step 10, take that personal inventory. If you get a sponsor, you will be doing a 10th step each time you talk to them. Step 11, prayer and meditation. You can start that on day 1. Step 12, the principle behind step 12 is service. You can start being of service your first day, whether it's on Zoom or in-person meetings. You may not have an AA message yet, but you can have your message and you can start sharing that even if you have one day and picked up a white chip yesterday. Share your story with someone thinking of getting a white chip today. We're not saying that you skip steps 1 through 9. We're saying that you can do steps 10, 11, and 12 while doing steps 1 through 9. Just as rigorous honesty and humility were required for steps 4 and 5, they are also required for steps 10. Steps 6 and 7 provided us with a list of character defects, which all human beings possess. Therefore, it's a very simple process to determine when we're at fault and need to do something about it. Unfortunately, just like many of the other 12 steps of AA, simple doesn't mean easy. Who the heck wants to go around admitting when they are wrong? Well, in AA, we must do this if we are to have long-term contented sobriety. This is the beginning of being happy, joyous, and free. 12 and 12, page 88. As we work the first 9 steps, we prepare ourselves for the adventure of a new life. But when we approach step 10, we commence to put our AA way of living to practical use day by day, in fair weather or foul. Then comes the acid test. Can we stay sober, keep in emotional balance, and live to good purpose under all conditions? Big Book, page 62. Selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our troubles. Driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity, we step on the toes of our fellows and they retaliate. Sometimes they hurt us, seemingly without provocation. But we invariably find that at some time in the past, we have made decisions based on self, which later placed us in a position to be hurt. So our troubles, we think, are basically of our own making. They arise out of ourselves. And the alcoholic is an extreme example of self-will run riot, though he usually doesn't think so. Above everything, we alcoholics must be rid of this selfishness. We must, or it kills us. Big Book, page 86. When we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Do we owe an apology? Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Were we kind and loving toward all? What could we have done better? Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time, or were we thinking of what we could do for others, of what we could pack into the stream of life? But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection. That would diminish our usefulness to others. After making our review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. The previous 2 paragraphs are found under step 11 in the Big Book, but apply to step 10 as well. Big Book, page 84 and 85, the 10th step promises, and we have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol. Well, by this time, sanity will have returned. We will seldom be interested in liquor. If tempted, we recoil from it as from a hot flame. We react sanely and normally, and we will find that this has happened automatically. We will see that our new attitude toward liquor has been given us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. That is a miracle of it. We are not fighting it, neither are we avoiding temptation. We feel as though we had been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We have not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. We are neither cocky nor are we afraid. That is our experience. That is how we react, so long as we keep in fit spiritual condition. The 10th step helps me stay in fit spiritual condition. 12 and 12, pages 89 through 90. The emphasis on inventory is heavy, only because a great many of us have never really acquired the habit of accurate self-appraisal. Once this healthy practice has been groomed, it will be so interesting and profitable that the time it takes won't be missed. For these minutes and sometimes hours spent in self-examination are bound to make all the other hours of our day better and happier. And at length, our inventories become a regular part of everyday living, rather than unusual or set apart. You can do a personal inventory many times a day. Do not only look for times that you are wrong. Look for things that you did or said that made you feel good, so that you can try to repeat and improve on them. People may not always remember what you say. They may not remember what you do, but they will never forget how you made them feel. It's best to have someone depart feeling better after engaging in a conversation with you. 12 and 12, page 93. When evening comes, perhaps just before going to sleep, many of us draw up a balance sheet for the day. This is a good place to remember that inventory taking is not always done in red ink. It is a poor day indeed when we haven't done something right. As a matter of fact, the waking hours are usually well filled with things that are constructive. Good intentions, good thoughts, and good acts are there for us to see. Even when we have tried hard and failed, we may chalk that up as one of the greatest credits of all. Under these conditions, the pains of failure are converted into assets. Out of them, we receive the stimulation we need to go forward. The 12 steps need to become a way of life for you, and the 10th step will help you stay on the right track and move forward and grow. You may be on the right track, but if you're not moving forward, you'll get run over. We will never be out of the woods with alcoholism, but with AA, we now have a design for living. Restraint of pen, tongue, and the sin button will keep you from eating crow or having egg on your face too often. 12 and 12, page 15. AA's 12 steps are a group of principles, spiritual in their nature, which if practiced as a way of life can expel the obsession to drink and enable the sufferer to become happily and usefully whole. Well, you continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistakes as you go along. I say yes. How about everybody else?
Yes.
Come on, y'all. Let's answer the question.
Yes.
They
Yes,
can't
yes.
unmute, but they can unmute now.
Okay.
Ask the question again.
Yes.
Ask the question again, Angela.
Okay. Will you continue to take personal inventory and
Yes.
continue to
Yes.
right any
Yes.
mistakes?
Heck
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Hell yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Well, you are now living in step 10. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. Alcoholics Anonymous, page 58. Are you willing to go to any lengths? If so, oh yes, are you willing to go to any lengths?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, if so,
Yes.
then let's move
Yes.
Okay.
Let me mute all again. I'm going to mute all again. All right, go ahead. Next reader.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Sherry, alcoholic. Step 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. Meditation does not mean emptying your mind. 12 and 12, page 96. Prayer and meditation are our principal means of conscious contact with God. You can start doing steps 10, 11, and 12 your first day in AA. Step 10, take that personal inventory. If you get a sponsor, you will be doing a 10th step each time you talk to them. Step 11, prayer and meditation. You can start that on day 1. Step 12, the principle behind step 12 is service. You can start being of service your first day, whether it's on Zoom or in-person meetings. You may not have an AA message yet, but you have your message and you can start sharing that even if you have one day and picked up a white chip yesterday. Share your story with someone thinking of getting a white chip today. We're not saying that you should skip through steps 1 through 9. We're saying that you can do steps 10, 11, and 12 while doing steps 1 through 9. Big Book, page 86. When we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Do we owe an apology? Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Were we kind and loving towards all? What could we have done better? Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time, or were we thinking of what we could do for others, of what we could pack into the stream of life? But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. After making our review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. On awakening, let's think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plan for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, and self-seeking motives. Big Book, page 87. What used to be the hunch or the occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. Being still and inexperienced and having made a conscious contact with God, it is not probable that we are going to be inspired at all times. We may pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Nevertheless, we find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration. We come to rely upon it. Whether you think you can or you can't, you are correct. If you think you can't, you probably won't. If you think you can, you have a pretty good shot at it. Napoleon Hill said, what the mind of a man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Man didn't think a 4-mile was possible until 1954 when Roger Bannister did it. The human mind is a very powerful organ. It is more powerful and complex than any computer. The same way that we develop a bad habit through repetition, we can develop good habits. 12 and 12, page 104. In AA, we have found that the actual good results of prayer are beyond question. They are matters of knowledge and experience. All those who have persisted have found strength not ordinary their own. They have found wisdom beyond their usual capability, and they have increasingly found a peace of mind which can stand firm in the face of difficult circumstances. Most members of AA know how to pray already or learn how to pray early in the AA program. AA teaches us not to pray for ourselves and not to pray for specific things or outcomes, but many others have problems meditating. Meditation is not hard and not complicated. 12 and 12, page 99, the St. Francis prayer. Lord, make me the channel of thy peace, that where there is hatred, I may bring love, that where there is wrong, I may bring the spirit of forgiveness, that where there is discord, I may bring harmony, that where there is error, I may bring truth, that where there is doubt, I may bring faith, that where there is despair, I may bring hope, that where there are shadows, I may bring light, that where there is sadness, I may bring joy. Lord, grant that I may seek rather to comfort than to be comforted, to understand than to be understood, to love than to be loved. For it is by self-forgetting that one finds. It is by forgiving that one is forgiven. It is by dying that one awakens to eternal life. Amen. As beginners in meditation, we might now reread this prayer several times very slowly, savoring every word and trying to take in the deep meaning of each phrase and idea. You do not have to clear your mind to meditate. That last sentence in the reading from the 12 and 12 says, as beginners in meditation, we might now reread this prayer several times very slowly, savoring every word and trying to take in the deep meaning of each phrase and idea. Have you ever read a paragraph or a page in a book, but don't remember doing so? You didn't forget what you read. Have you ever been introduced to someone and less than 5 minutes later, you don't remember their name? You didn't forget their name. Your feet were in the room, but your mind was somewhere else. Be where your feet are. Stay in the moment. The human mind can only entertain one thought at a time. Big Book, page 88. Step 11 promises. We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. We become much more efficient. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. It works. It really does. 12 and 12, page 105. Perhaps one of the greatest rewards of meditation and prayer is the sense of belonging that comes to us. We no longer live in a completely hostile world. We are no longer lost and frightened and purposeless. Some members of AA say that they wake up with untreated alcoholism every day. I've never heard a cancer patient say that they wake up with untreated cancer when they are under a doctor's care. Why would someone wake up with untreated alcoholism if they are living the principles of the program? The person who truly wakes up with untreated alcoholism is not aware of it, nor would they admit it. Step 11 is the main reason that many do not wake up with untreated alcoholism, no matter what may be going on in their lives. All right, and I'm going to post the link for the benefits of meditation and prayer. And we are all now living in step 11. Thanks for letting me be of service.
All right, awesome. Hello, everybody. My name is Shantae. I'm an alcoholic, and I will start with step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. The principle behind the 12th step is service, the action of helping or doing work for someone. The term spiritual experience and spiritual awakening are used many times in this book, which upon careful reading shows that the personality change sufficient to bring about recovery from alcoholism has manifested itself among us in many different forms. Yet it is true that our first printing gave many readers the impression that these personality changes or religious experiences must be in the nature of a sudden and spectacular upheavals. Happily for everyone, this conclusion is erroneous, and that's on in our big book, page 567, appendix 2. A spiritual awakening, as referred to in AA, is simply a change of heart and mind. Our spiritual awakening is of the educational kind. It should be a continuous lifetime process. Sometimes it is a spiritual experience or spiritual awakening, which pushes someone to seek help even before starting the 12 steps of AA. As previously stated, a spiritual awakening is of the educational kind, whereas a spiritual experience is usually a profound and sudden physical experience, which quickly dissipates but leaves a person changed for a long time, sometimes forever. Big Book, page 89. Practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. It works when other activities fail. This is our 12th suggestion. Carry this message to other alcoholics. You can help when no one else can. You can secure their confidence when others fail. Remember, they are very ill. Life will take on a new meaning. To watch people to recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish, to see a fellowship grow about you, to have a host of friends. This is an experience you must not miss. We know you will not want to miss it. Frequent contact with newcomers and with each other is the bright spot of our lives. You can start doing steps 10, 11, and 12 your first day in AA. Step 10, take that personal inventory. If you get a sponsor, you will be doing a 10th step each time you talk to them. Step 11, prayer and meditation. You can start that on day 1. Step 12, the principle behind step 12 is service. You can start being of service your first day, whether it's on Zoom or in person. You may not have an AA message, but you have your message and you can start sharing that even if you have one day and picked up a white chip yesterday. Share your story with someone thinking of getting a white chip today. We're not saying that you skip steps 1 through 9. We're saying that you can do steps 10, 11, and 12 while doing steps 1 through 9. AA cannot survive if individual members do not carry the message of recovery in and out of AA. AA groups cannot survive if they do not carry the message of recovery to individual members. Are you involved in your sobriety, or are you committed? In a bacon and egg breakfast, the chicken is involved, the pig is committed. The individual cannot remain spiritually fit if they do not carry the message of recovery to others in and out of AA. The Dead Sea is named as such because it does not sustain normal life forms because it is too salty. The River Jordan flows into it, but the water does not go anywhere else after that. If we get all this good AA stuff and hold on to it without sharing it with anyone else, we will eventually become spiritually dead. There is usually a natural filtration process that takes place when a liquid flows into something and then flows out into something else. In our 12 and 12 page 110. Practically every AA member declares that no satisfaction has been deeper and no joy greater than a 12-step job well done. To watch the eyes of men and women open with wonder as they move from darkness into light, to see their lives quickly filled with new purpose and meaning, to see whole families reassembled, to see the alcoholic outcast received back into his community in full citizenship, and above all, to watch these people awaken to the presence of a loving God in their lives. These things are the substance of what we receive as we carry AA's message to the next alcoholic. I sought my soul, but my soul I could not see. I sought my God, but my God eluded me. I sought my brother, and I found all three. By William Blake. Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. Muhammad Ali. Will you carry the message of recovery to other alcoholics? Yes or no? Yes, I will.
Right, everybody can unmute. Come on, let's hear it with some
Yes,
enthusiasm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
100% yes.
Absolutely,
God bless.
yes. No doubt. My living is not done in vain, and I hope that I'm able to help someone else along this way. So yes.
That's right. That's right. Today, my pain has purpose. I will carry this message. Will you be of service to people in and out of AA? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely yes.
Yes, for a lifetime.
All
You
right.
bet.
One day at a time for our lives, for the rest of our lives. That's
Right,
right.
for the rest of our lives.
Right.
Day at a
That's
time.
right. All right. So now we're all living in step 12. Let's go, y'all.
Why am I crying?
All right. Turn it back to the host, I believe.
You had a spiritual awakening.
Experience. That's right.
You had a spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. The message that we need to carry is that of hope. No hope, no recovery. No hope, no recovery. After the Big Book was published in 1939, people would order it, read it, follow the directions contained in the book, get sober, start their own meetings, and help others get sober. You can recover quickly in Alcoholics Anonymous by having the 12 steps become a way of life sooner than later. Page 15 of the 12 and 12. A's 12 steps are a group of principles, spiritual in their nature, which if practiced as a way of life can expel the obsession to drink and enable the sufferer to become happily and usefully whole. Big Book, page 25. There is a solution. Almost none of us like the self-searching, the leveling of a pride, the confession of shortcomings, which the process requires for successful consumption. But we saw that it really worked in others, and we had come to believe in the hopelessness and futility of life as we had been living it. When therefore we were approached by those in whom the problem had been solved, there was nothing left for us but to pick up the simple kit of spiritual tools laid at our feet. We have found much of heaven, and we have been rocketed into a fourth dimension of existence of which we had not even dreamed. Hopefully, you have more tools in your spiritual tools kit. Please do your 4th and 8th steps, get a sponsor, and do your 5th step and help guide you in making your 9th step amends. You can get this done this week. Have that sense of urgency we talked about in the beginning. Your life depends on you staying sober. Think about hope that it is conveyed in the passage below, Big Book, page 164. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask him in the morning, in your morning meditation that you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order, but obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. Thank you for coming to the workshop, everyone. Let's take a moment to reflect on what we did here today, followed by the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven,
who art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy
Thy
kingdom
kingdom
come,
come,
thy will
thy will be done
on
on
earth
earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this
Give us
day
this
This
day
day
our
our
daily
daily
bread.
bread,
and forgive
give
us
us
our
our
trespasses,
trespasses,
And we forgive
we forgive
those
those who
those who
trespass
trespass
against
against
us.
us.
lead us not into
Lead us not
Into
into
temptation,
temptation,
deliver us
but
from
deliver
evil.
us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
Thine is
kingdom,
the
power, and the
power
glory,
and
Power and
forever.
the glory,
Amen.
forever and ever. Amen.
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 Work the steps.
Yes.
That was awesome.
Yay.
Nicole.
Any questions?
Great
Let's
job,
have a little
everyone.
Q&A session. So guys, mark the time, guys. Mark the time. We started at 10:05 and here it is 12:03. So we did it in 2 hours. And we
All
didn't rush
right.
through it. We just become more efficient at doing it.
Yep.
So let's have a
Amazing.
Q&A. Laura, go ahead, Laura. Everybody can unmute.
Hi, yeah, my name's Laura, I'm an alcoholic. Step 5. Now, I have done step 5, but when cousin was reading that step 5 bit and it was saying that you have to... Right, so I've had different sponsors. So I've had sponsors in England, and now I've got one in New York, you know. And step 5 has been different with both sponsors. I believed at first that step 5 was where you read out your step 4, and you also had to admit to another alcoholic all the shitty behaviours and everything you did, you know, all the bad stuff that you did when you was drinking. I got that. I was kind of getting that when cousin was reading the step 5, but I was told by my new sponsor that that's not what you do. So my question is, what do you do? Because I may have done it wrong. And that's it. That's the question. Thank you.
No. First of all, there's no right or wrong way to do it. Okay, so step 5 is where the person listening will listen and ask you questions and give you feedback. You know, it makes no sense to have someone who just listens and then that's it, you're done. you need feedback. So how did you do it again, Laura?
Right, so step 4, my old sponsor from around here, she sent me some sheets, right, and on them it's like columns of harms and all this, and then so I've wrote on all the things, the name, so like say resentful towards my mum, the reason, how it affected me, and then I think the end one was the role I played in that sort of resentment. So after doing all of them, quite a few, I've then read them all out one by one. So there was like a full sheet for my mum, full sheet for my dad, like things like that. So yeah, that's how I did it. Is that right?
There's no right or wrong way to do it. You
okay.
did fine. You did fine. As long as you got some feedback from your sponsor, you did fine.
Right.
Anybody else with some experience on the 5th step?
Barbara, alcoholic. I have a question about I don't remember where in the reading it said that you could practice all these steps like day 1. And I remember being back in 2016, and things have changed since I guess I've come back in, but when you're in a meeting and it's a step meeting, and like say you're not on step 5 or step 10, you can't share on it. Is that still the case? Because it didn't say that in the reading today.
But also, we didn't say you can practice all these steps. We said you can start doing steps 10, 11, and 12 your very first day, as you do 1 through 9.
Yeah.
And yes, basically, if you don't have experience on that step, then no, there's nothing for you to really share. If you have, we want you to share your experience, strength on a certain step. So if you haven't done it yet, then no, you don't have much to share on that step.
Because somewhere in the reading it said that about share, you could share your, I don't know. Okay.
Oh, step 12. Yes, you can on step 12, carrying the message. You can carry your message to, if you pick up a white chip today, tomorrow you can talk to someone who hasn't picked up a white chip yet. That's step 12. We're not talking about step 4, 5, these other steps. We're talking about 10, 11. I put a podcast in the chat. Check out the podcast. It'll answer a lot of your questions.
So,
thank you.
Mr. John, I don't think we should discourage people from sharing. So
Miriam has a question. No, Christy. Miriam has a question. Nobody's discouraging anyone, Christy. Go ahead, Miriam.
Thank you, John.
Hey guys, Miriam, alcoholic. So I actually had a really quick, I am coming up on the making amends part of my step work. And actually hearing that unless you have kids with your exes, which are people there's one in particular that unfortunately, my disease and my alcoholism greatly affected. And I was just wondering, like, is that something that, why would you want to avoid that? I guess is my question. Like, is it so that you don't get caught up in ex drama or, because I was thinking about writing a letter to him and just apologizing.
It's very simple. Accepting to do so would injure them or others. Just seeing your name in a letter could be injurious.
That's
hearing your voice on the phone could be injurious.
Okay.
So again, if you do not have children with them, there's no need to do it. And the motive, some people may be trying to get, ulterior motive is to get back with that ex-boyfriend, girlfriend.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, John.
Go ahead, Letitia.
How do I get proof of attendance?
It's in the chat. Go ahead, Letitia.
Hi, everybody. I am just piping in. I have done 5 step 5s. One was with a nun at an actual monastery, and one was with a priest. And then I've also done some with sponsors. I've had relief with all of them. my first sponsor didn't want me to do it with her. She wanted me to go to a person of the cloth because that's how she did it 40 years ago. She was encouraged to do it that way. So people tend to do it how they were told to go through it. And when it says exact nature of my wrongs, I can count like how many times I've been jealous of different people and maybe not have to write about every single episode. So the exact nature of my wrongs is I'm extremely avarice and jealous of what other people have. And then that is also set as an example. I don't have to go all the way back through, but serious resentments, anyone's name that pops up goes down on the paper. And then, yeah, my mistakes. Where was I wrong? Where did I hold grudges? Where did I hold back my love? Where did I react instead of respond to situations? It all comes up. But I've had relief every time I've done it. And I haven't been able to capture sobriety when I've gone back to get sobriety, unless I go back through the steps. That way I can get farther than a year or 2 years or 3 years. If I don't do the steps again and get rid of the gut, I won't get better. And I know that's all.
All right, Letitia, let's get some more people in. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Marlene.
Hi, I'm Marlene. I'm an alcoholic. I have 18 days today. I'm a chronic relapser. I'm doing it different this time because I have a solid sponsor and a real solid.
Marlene,
Huh?
do you have a question? Do you have a question on this?
I do. I absolutely do. I'm getting this message repeatedly about I wish you a slow recovery. May you have a slow recovery. However, I feel this sense of urgency that came up in the meeting today. And I wanted to bounce it off of this wonderful crew. How can I reconcile the sense of urgency with the slow recovery?
Marlene,
yeah.
Marlene, that slow recovery is bullshit. Even if someone has a cold, we wish them a full and speedy recovery. Why the fuck would we want someone a slow recovery from a disease that's killing them? I've heard it over the years too, and it's bullshit. We wouldn't say that to a person with cancer. We don't want them a slow and some people even add painful. I wish you a slow and painful recovery. No, this disease is killing people. Why would we want that? You know, so it's different philosophies. You know, you can align yourself with those people who feel that way, or align yourself with people who have a sense of urgency. Not rushing through these steps. We're not talking about rushing through it. Just have a sense of urgency. If I had cancer, I would want to get on the medication as soon as possible. So yeah, stick with us, and we have a sense of urgency because we want you to be happy, joyous, and free sooner, a lot sooner than later. That's good, Marlene?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Mike, come on in.
Hi there, I'm Mike, alcoholic, and I'm super grateful I found you guys this morning. I just wanted to respond to the previous woman who was talking about whether or not she did the 5th step correctly. It's kind of already been answered, but I was just gonna assure her that she'll do more than one 5th step. And I feel like as long as you do it honestly and openly and, you know, divulge everything that you think you're supposed to be doing, then you did it right. And just know that you're going to do it again at some point because the steps never end. It's cyclical. So that's all I wanted to add. Thankful to be with you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Fantastic. And that is a great point. When you get sponsees, every time you listen to their 5th step, you will be doing a partial, if not a full 5th step as well. Go ahead, cousin.
Yeah, what's going on, family? I just wanted to talk about the message and how quickly we can start carrying the message and how simple it can be. And this is just my experience. You know, I didn't have a AA message, you know, when I first came here, but you guys gave me one through my actions, and I was able to go out and tell people I have a home group. You know, that was part of my message. When I got a sponsor, I was able to tell the next person who didn't have a sponsor, I have a sponsor. And when I began to work the steps and get an introduction and an understanding of the steps, I was able to tell them that. And when I went out and started doing service, that became my message. You know, it was how I was living. hey, look, man, I'm not drinking anymore. And the way that I'm doing it is I have a home group, I have a sponsor, I'm working the steps, and I'm doing service. That is a full and complete AA message if that is what you're doing. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. So we have 12 meetings a day. There are people here joining us for the first time. We have 12 meetings a day. Just go to the website with all that information. Come on in, Cardi. Did I get the name right? Cardi? Kartik?
Hi, John. I'm Kartik. I'm an alcoholic. I did my fourth and fifth step once before I relapsed. I was somewhere on eighth or ninth step when I relapsed. So should I go back and do the fourth and fifth?
Cardi, your audio is very bad. You're in a bad spot right now. We can't hear you.
Hello, sorry, yeah, John. I did my fourth and fifth step once before I relapsed. So should I go back and do that again?
It wouldn't hurt to do it again. I would just go back to step 4 and 5. I would, unless you had reservations about being an alcoholic. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to do it again.
Sure. Thanks, John.
Patrice, come on in, Patrice.
Hi, everybody. This is Patrice. I'm Patrice, grateful recovering alcoholic. Thanks so much for the meeting. Thank you all for your shares and service. Really appreciate it. I just wanted to say that I heard someone mention that they wanted to make amends to someone that they don't have children with. And I just wanted to say that when I crossed that bridge, because I did follow the 12 steps and everything, but I too was told not to do that. So, but I felt like I had wronged them. Well, I did wrong them. And so I felt uneasy inside. And so to continue cleaning house, I began to pray for them. I never spoke to them or anything anymore, but I did go into prayer like every day for like a month for them. It gave me a way to let go of and forgive myself as well. Forgive them and forgive myself. And it really helped toward cleaning house without me feeling like I was just kind of in limbo with that. So I just wanted to share that because I didn't know if anybody else was going through that. Thank you.
That's a great share. And that's what we also call a living amends. And we do suggest reading 552, page 552, for a resentment that you may have against someone. So yeah, that's a great input. So next month, starting next month, Miss Nicole is going to be hosting this. Cousin Jonathan had been hosting it for over a year and a half. Did a great job. Yeah, starting next month, it's all yours, Nicole. So anyone else, any other questions? Any more input on your experience, strength, and hope? Go ahead, Laura.
Hi, Laura Alcoholic. So I'm currently doing step 9. I am making amends, and I'm just wondering, do them amends, are they for people who I've hurt with my drinking, or is it like everyone? That's
everyone.
The question.
Everyone, but again, you don't have to go back to kindergarten.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Because alcoholism started before we even started drinking, guys. We were alcoholics before we even started drinking. Go ahead, Miriam.
Hey, sorry to ask 2 questions. I try not to do that, but I did have one question about the amends as well, because I feel like that's being talked about a lot, just because it is kind of it's more difficult, more complex. So there is somebody, just to give like a brief overview, my dad was an incredibly abusive person as a kid and my entire life, and that led up for a long time. And, I've read several things that will either be like, well, regardless, you still need to look at your part in it. And then I've also read other things and heard other people say things like, no, like you don't have to make amends with someone that did do all this stuff. And it's not like, you know, talking to my dad would do anything like harmful to either one of us. But I guess my main question is, if you know, what is this group's opinion on, let's say you did have an abusive situation or whatever, maybe I did play a couple parts in some things as I got older. You know, what would be the course of action, I guess, to handle that? What would you suggest as someone who's, you know, 40 years sober?
I grew up hating my father. I grew up hating him, and he was the impetus for me wanting to get sober at a young age. I grew up hating him, said I would never be like him, and I turned out to be just like him. And at 21, I said I needed to change, and I quit drinking and smoking. You don't have to forgive anyone. You got to let go of any anger and resentment you have towards them. See, this is a difference between letting go and forgiving. Let's use a wedding. You know, you're getting married, and you find out that your bridesmaid stole money from you. You know, you find this out, and she confesses, and you can forgive her, and she's still part of your wedding. She's still your bridesmaid. She's still in your bridal party. That's forgiving. Or you can say, hey, you know, I wish you the best. I have no ill will towards you, but I don't want anything to have to do with you. See, that's letting go. You know, when you have that anger and resentment, every time you see that person, every time you hear their name, you know, your hair stands on end, you bristle, it gives you a negative reaction. But when you let go, you have no reaction. You know? Yeah, you don't have to forgive everyone. You gotta let go of any anger and resentment. I never really talked to my father. I stopped hating him. I still didn't like him, but I had no hatred in my heart for him anymore. You know, but that's me. You know, and that's something you'll work through as you you know, trust the road of happy destiny.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that.
Anyone else with some experience on that? Anyone else want to share some experience, strength, and hope with that? Any other questions? Oh, fantastic. Right, Mr. Cole, you want to take us off with the Lord's Prayer? Oh, hold on, Beatrice. Go ahead, Beatrice.
I'm so sorry. I do have a question. Hopefully it's okay. Inventory, taking inventory. And honestly, it's too quite taking inventory. And then I think there's a podcast that I need to listen to regarding character defects. So whichever one you think, inventory, and then direct me to the podcast, or if there's time to answer both, like how to, just some simple examples how to do this, because for some reason I'm stuck.
I go to our podcast page. There's we just did one 2 weeks ago on doing steps 4 and 5. And there's one on forgiveness, forgiving yourself and others. There's one on step 8 and 9, step 6 and 7, steps 1, 2, 3, step 10, 11, and 12. So yeah, check out our podcast. And we have a 12 steps every week. Every Friday at 5 o'clock, we go through the 12 steps. And this Friday, we're on step 4. Go ahead, Tammy. Go ahead, Tammy. Okay, Tammy's having issues. Okay, so if you just go to our website, we have a page for almost everything, attendance verification, movies. So at 1 o'clock, we're going to be playing a movie. So you can hang out. We're here till midnight and beyond, guys. From now on, we are here from 6 a.m. to midnight. The podcast, just go to the website and click on the podcast page, and it will take you directly to our podcast. The link in the chat. or the website. Just go there. All right, again, next month, Miss Nicole is gonna be your hostess with the mostest.
We also go through the 12 steps in the women's meeting as well. So any women out there, we do it every Friday. We're on step 9 this coming week. So yeah. Okay, thank you for all of our readers. Thank you for everyone that's done service this morning. Amazing. Great job. I think that was record-breaking time. Unbelievable. Anyways, thank you all for being here.
If we keep doing it at that speed, we're gonna be doing it in an hour. I gotta change the name.
I know, right? Or we might just have more questions. People might have more questions, so we might fill the 4 hours. So gotta leave that
I must say,
open.
you guys did a great job. This is you guys did a great job. I'm telling you right now, much better than I was.
No, that's not true.
Oh, it's.
I'm just saying though. No, it seems from the outside looking in, it seemed like they had it. It went so smoothly and so good. I must say,
Like a well-oiled machine.
yeah, that's what I want to say.
Yeah.
The flow was crazy. The flow was
But you laid the foundation.
Yeah, Jonathan did.
It wouldn't be well run if we didn't have a foundation.
First one I did was
Yeah,
with
we
cousin Jonathan. And cousin
Okay,
Jonathan.
so let's
the
close
first
it
one-
out so we can start the
Okay.
recording, and then we'll continue to commiserate.
Perfect. And thank you all for being here. And I'd like us all to think of all of those still sick and suffering and in and outside of the rooms. We'll close with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father,
Our Father,
who art in heaven,
who art in heaven,
hallowed be thy
Hallowed be
name.
thy
hallowed be thy
Thy
name.
kingdom come,
Kingdom come,
will be done
will
on
be
earth
done
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us
Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us your trespasses. As we forgive those who trespass against
as we
us.
forgive those
And
who
lead us
trespass
not into
against us.
temptation.
Lead us not into
Deliver us from evil.
temptation,
Deliver us from evil.
And deliver us from evil.
For the glory,
Thine is the kingdom, power, and glory,
Amen. Forever.
ever and ever.
He's coming
Amen.
back, so work, you work it. It sucks if you don't. God bless.
Yeah. That's right.
Thank you
I
guys
like
so
that.
much. Awesome.
So you work.
Thank you.